Hello, welcome to the channel, The Dry Omas, The Three Grandmothers. I'm your host, Carmen. In the video of today, we will discuss about the following statement. Talking about the theory of evolution is talking about a logis agenda. As we learned in the previous videos, the artificial superintelligence already exists. Information were given a long time ago to certain lodges and groups of powers, with the explicit instructions of creating deliberate narratives and events, including wars. Many of the events that we are living right now, they were deliberate created. It's not casualty. How far back can we trust this invisible hand which has guided the lodges and power groups? Hard to say, hard to guess. But speaking about Charles Darwin is speaking about lodges agenda. What have in common these two men were born in complete separate places of the world? And remember that in that time they were not internet. One is born in England and the other born in the United States. But they were contemporaries of the same time period. And what have they in common? They belong to secret societies. They belong to lodges. And at that time, they communicate through letters. But the agendas and the tasks were very clear, very precisely. Secret societies are older as the human being as itself. There is a famous letter speaking about the three wars. Can you Google like a letter to Mazzini? If it is scary what is written there. And it was public. It was in a museum long time ago. Now imagine what we don't know. The first part of the letter is speaking about the First World War was to take control of the Tsars of Russia and turn that country in the stronghold of atheism and communism. The Second World War was about fighting Nazis against Zionists. And the Third World War was scheduled about Zionist versus Muslim. So far, it has not been mistaken. But today we are going to focus in another task that was given. We shall unleash the nihilism and atheism. Very interesting. How do you promote the atheism? Voila. Creationism against evolution. Let's put ourselves in the context of that time. The different churches around the world control the rules, control the war. Religions dictate all behavior. I must admit that the radical control of the church of the society of that time was very toxic. We will not have continued to advance as far as we are today if the church is still in power. So it was not so wrong what they did by creative new narratives about God. But now it's time to balance, to question everything and develop ourselves in a new version of ourselves. Let me introduce a new narrative, a new concept of God. As we studied in the previously videos, the first aliens who arrived here mixed with some already existing hominids. They wanted take it, take it, take it. There is a lot about Anunnakis and the first civilization, but nobody wants to admit that they wanted love. Aliens just want to have fun. But they are overlooking in a detail, a big detail. Let's be honest. What do you see here? What have all these races in common? What all this body has in common? Take a look. Even reptilians one. Even this Pasasu with the wings. What they have in common? All the bodies have symmetry. Even the reptilian one. They are symmetric bodies. That means that this body have gone through an engineering process, deliberate, designed. Let's be honest. How do you imagine a very early world, a very primitive planet, changing? What is the rule there? Surviving, amorphous, asymmetrical bodies. Because the environment condition requires survival skills. Continue adaptive to the environment. The condition of the planet changed very suddenly. The ecosystem changed very fast, but the living form as well. The evolution is not a merely concept of biology. It's about conscious. And the most important thing is when this process of changing the bodies, changing the forms to adapt to the environment stop. Who or what stopped this process of changing? Think about that. It's not only biology, it's about conscious. You have an amorphous body and you interact with your environment. The problem with the theory of evolution of Darwin is that he's mentioning that we came from apes. From my point of view, the problem is that already these apes, they have symmetry. All these bodies have symmetry. It means that all this body came from a template. They had already an engineering process. They were already deliberate, create like that. For example, all these pieces, since we have memory, horses are horses, birds are birds, tortoises are tortoises, monkeys are monkeys, none of they have changed through the last century. Not if there is a deliberate breeding process from the human, from us. And the same happened with plants. For example, in the past, there is very nice example, bananas, corn, eggplant, strawberry, watermelons. Definitely they change from the original form. For example, banana had a lot of seeds and was very hard. Corns were very small, like wheat. Eggplants from yellow to purple. Strawberries, they were very small, like berries. And watermelon definitely is not what we know today. And they have changed because the intervention of a superior intelligence. That's the key. Intervention of a superior intelligence. But the way The Lucy skull that they say that we came from Lucy, it's an ox. At that time, they mounted different types of jaws to expand the concept of multiple evolutions. Unfortunately, we have DNA tests today, and it has been confirmed that the superior and the inferior jaws comes from different kind of apes. They have different DNA. It means that it was a puzzle. They deliberate make a puzzle of different bones of different kinds of apes. The stagings is served. At that time, they could do it. Nowadays, it's no longer possible. The DNA test show that it's a puzzle of bones. Sorry to say it. The evolution from asymmetry to symmetry necessarily follows an engineering process. An engineering process done through a superior intelligence. Keep this in mind. And the following question is this: who were the first engineers? If we are talking that in a primitive world, they came from amorphous body to symmetry. How did they look like? A real evolution means asymmetrical, amorphous being. The first engineering had amorphous bodies. Evolution means a development of conscious of who you are, your environmental, and how to change it, adapted to your needs, no longer to survive the environmental. And one step forward, don't depend on the environment, transform it to your needs. Study your environmental, understand how it works, and control it, mold it, change it, create it. That is the real evolution. Eleazar, in his book La Bible, very nice book. It's a translation of a very primitive Bible. Unfortunately, we only know the books that they are officially public. But there are many, many books, many other books. Unfortunately, we don't have access to them. But in the primitive Bibles, even before Christianism, the origins of the human race were documented. They know our origins. But that's another history. In this translation of a primitive Bible, he's talking about the first seven. He called them Aitanos. Aita means parents. They were the first conscious that migrate from body to body. They were conscious of their exist, and they were the first immortals. Immortals means that even when you change from body, you are completely aware of who you are, and you can remember your experience in other bodies. They were 5 masculine and 2 females. But this classification of masculine and feminine is not a biology meaning. It means masculine because try to enter is a conscious that try to enter in other bodies. And a female is a conscious that is willing to receive this conscious, to share it. And these conscious, they were aware of their existence through the different evolutions from previously very simple body until this point. They were in order of in order of appearance. It was Vettel, Vedel, Eroel, Eladu, Oistasu, Sail, and Sasbe. First, they were the first female, and then came the female. It means first, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. But in the early conscious, in the early primitive wars, they starting with exchange of electromagnetic field. And in this exchange of electromagnetic field is exactly how they communicate. And that's exactly how it works nowadays with the fungus. So the origin of the first conscience is with fungus. But how did they look like? How was this physical body once they achieved this point of conscious, of sharing information? Well, the first physical body of the Aitanos were trees and snakes. This eternal fight between the animal kingdom and vegetable kingdom, they go back to the beginning of the conscious. Every conscious create new bodies at will. And that is why the symbol of the pomegranate is very important and very, very old. Because exactly that is how create new life. They could create beings from their body, but different. So the first humanoid, as we know today, one head, two legs. The bodies were born from a structure similar to the pomegranates. And this is how the real evolution happened. These new created beings had more intelligence and they start creating as well from both sides, from the trees and from the snake. But that is how the first complex and more evolutionated bodies started. And in the mixing between these two primitive worlds, because at that time they continue changing the bodies at will and they continue mixing, derivate in other species. But in some cases, they were more inferior or even dangerous. So it's in this point when they lock the creation. So the creation was finished. That is why the animal don't change and don't mate between species. The natural species that we know exist like today since thousands years ago. And it was because the deliberate code was locked. Unless we know the key, we could change it. But it means a very higher intelligence. The only animal species that change is because an deliberate intervention of a superior intelligence carrying out this process of breeding. For example, this one. The human deliberate mixes some races. So we're back to the same point. A species change only by a deliberate process of breeding, by a superior intelligence. And that is why they are trying to hide since a long time ago. that we're a mixed race, but they disobeyed. But not only them, a woman disobeyed as well. She was the last to perform changes in our genetic. We are exactly as we are now. The last change was done by a woman. But she did Valkyrie. Under certain circumstances, an act of disobedience is a must. At that time, they blame it, they expel from her word. But nowadays, everybody claimed what she did. Everybody want our bodies. Everybody want us. Hey, come on. They want us, but no one had the balls, the huevos, to admit that what she did was in benefit of a higher purpose. No one wants to say that. We're a mixed race, and I will keep saying that, but the sins of the parent should not be paid for the children. So the idea of a superior intelligence might be God. So if you want to put an atheism, is the no existence of God. And maybe it's not atheism what they should be doing. It's the conception or the change of God. That God is a superior intelligence. But we are here to develop it as well. What do you think about that? The real evolution is from asymmetry to symmetry and a conscious, deliberate conscious. That is my new narrative. What do you think? I hope that you enjoyed this video, and until the next time, bye bye.